This just in, Prince Harry is settling his hacking case against the Mirror Group, and while his lawyers are doing a victory lap, it sure seems like he could have gotten even more than he did. Plus, is Piers Morgan quitting TV because of it? Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor. Now, we're waiting for Piers Morgan's proper reaction, but yes, he is quitting television, but with a twist. He's doing it so he can focus on YouTube. And this is a fascinating, and I think he's a smart man in what he's doing. And we're going to get to that in a second and talk about that. And I'm sure he'll be back on YouTube to talk about his reaction to this case. But let's go back and rewind and talk about what's happening today, which is that, yes, Prince Harry and Mirror Publishing have settled the remaining parts of their hacking claim with the newspaper group to pay substantial additional sum. In a statement read by his barrister outside the court, Prince Harry said, "Everything we said was happening at Mirror Group was in fact happening, and indeed far worse, as the court ruled in its extremely damning judgment." Now, if we go through these bits coming in through the BBC, we have both parties' responses. Via the statement, the prince says they have uncovered and proved the shockingly dishonest way in which the Mirror Group acted for so many years. Now, again, previously, they had apologized in the beginning of this case, if I recall. Harry continues that in light of all this, we call again for the authorities to uphold the rule of law and prove that no one is above it. This is a reference to the prince and other hacking victims, calling for police to open criminal investigations into the actions of the Mirror newspapers. And we'll see if that actually happens. Now, let's be clear. Love or hate Prince Harry, this was messed up. It does seem like there was some hacking happening. And yes, he got some payments. Now, did he get enough? Harry's statements continued that this should include former Daily Mail editor Piers Morgan, who as editor knew perfectly well what was going on, as the judge held. Harry's statement continues, even his own employer realized it simply could not call him as a witness of truth at the trial. His contempt for the court's ruling and his continued attacks ever since demonstrate why it was so important to obtain a clear and detailed judgment. So it'll be very interesting to see how Piers responds, and we will be here to report when he does. Our mission continues, Harry says. His mission over how the press operates continues. I believe in the positive change it will bring for all of us. It's the very reason why I started this and why I will continue to see it through to the end. Now, here's the other side's response, and I'm going to give you my thoughts as well. Former Sun editor has no sympathy for Harry.
I haven't got any sympathy for him, frankly. He's an unsympathetic character, and the fact that he's got 400,000 or 600,000 out of the Daily Mirror, I find quite lamentable. I haven't got any.
He continues saying he has no sympathy for Prince Harry following the settling. Speaking to our colleague at BBC Radio 4's World On program, he was an editor between 81 and 94. At the end of the day, Harry's not a sympathetic figure in this country. The fact that he has actually agreed to a much smaller deal than he could have done if he wanted a fight indicates that even he understands that the nation is not behind him, even though the allegations may be serious. As we were reporting, MGN now has agreed to settle the remaining parts of the case with the prince. He says he finds it quite lamentable. Asked if this now adds to the agony of former Mirror editor Piers Morgan, he replies, "I wonder if he's had one single moment of regret." Now, again, summing up that there was something that went down here, but agreed Prince Harry took a deal here. Prince Harry could have seen this through if he really was the figurehead he was claiming to be to fight such a serious thing. Why is he now afraid to actually see it through? One, it's costing him a ton of money. Two, he's not winning all his cases. It's a lot harder. His lawyers have not actually proven as much as they were supposed to. They only received some of the sums that they were needed to get. But this is where things are going. And so he decided to settle, and he decided to do a victory lap outside. And look, it is a win to an extent, but it's not the win it was supposed to be. If we're being honest, Harry, it's not the win it should have been. Now, Kevin McKenzie, former editor at The Sun, has been speaking out, reflecting on the media era of phone hacking and unlawful gathering. He says, a lot of this is history. None of this happens today. If it did happen today, the editor would be fired, the CEO would be fired, and the company's share price would collapse. McKenzie adds that the days of the tabloids, the 4 million sales, the sex scandals and other scandals, that's all yesterday, I'm afraid. He's afraid. He liked that day, clearly. I'm sad and correct at the same time. It's just part of media history now. Well, a bad part of history, let's call it that. We shouldn't have resorted to such things. But the settlement spares both sides from line-by-line battle. By settling, the two sides are spared by line court battle over the 115 additional tabloid newspaper stories Harry was complaining about. The settlement happened because the prince made what's called a Part 36 offer, which Mirror Group accepted. If it had refused, it could have risked far more money in damages and legal costs. Sources say Prince Harry is expecting to receive around £300,000 in total in damages from MGN, now called Reach PLC. But he didn't come for the money, he came for vindication, and now has his sights on Associated Newspapers, publisher of the Daily Mail, and News Group Newspapers, which publishes The Sun. Meanwhile, around 100 other claimants are in the background with cases against the Mirror Group, adding to the Reach PL's expected legal costs. So, look, say what you want. It is a win. It is a win. It would have been nice to see him go all the way and have that confidence, but he's taking sort of a half win, if you ask me, because he didn't go all the way to prove it as clearly as possible. And this will always give folks an out because of the settlement. That said, he is clearly allowed to say what he thinks here. But here we have the other, David Sherborne, which singled out Piers Morgan for criticism. He knew exactly what was going on. He's alleging here in this clip that we'll watch later today on our live. In fact, we'll be live probably over on Palace right now. Come join us. We'll watch more about this, talk about this case. I want to get your thoughts, and we'll get into more detail about the responses if Piers Morgan responds. But Harry is taking this win. What do you think of this? Now, I teased it at the beginning, and I want to go there. Piers Morgan is, in fact, leaving Talk TV, and he wants to focus on YouTube. And honestly, his reasoning is sound. As he explains here, there's such a disparity between the figures he generates online and what he gets on Talk TV. It's just out of kilter with his profile, the high production values, and all the money spent promoting the show. Most of the exposure to his interviews is from the 2-minute clips, which work much better than burying him down on the TV guide with 100 channels above him, which makes him difficult to find. Morgan said, it's clear that there's a huge global demand for the content we're making, but the commitment to a daily show at a fixed schedule with all the editing and time sensitivities that's involved has been increasingly unnecessary straitjacket. People are watching the content on YouTube rather than conventional television, and I have no problem with that. You can't defy audiences or tell them how they should be consuming. I could happily interview Elon Musk for 3 or 4 hours tomorrow and the audience would lap it up. But the nightly restriction of having to go into a studio at 8 p.m. when sometimes there is nothing happening and literally fill time, nobody wants that. The question becomes, why do it? I got to say, he's right on the money. It's why I love what we do here, because we can respond whenever we want, at the length we want, say what we want. Now, YouTube, as he'll learn, I mean, he always has to deal with the censors and whatnot. There's certain things we can't talk about that don't get promoted, and he'll learn that the hard way unless he builds his own platform at some point. But I got to say, his reasoning is sound to me. But yes, he is quitting TV to focus online. And I say, interesting. And I think now we'll be competing, Piers. Hopefully we can collab. Oh, man, wouldn't that be fun? What do you think of Piers Morgan? I want to hear your thoughts down below. Obviously, his thoughts on Harry and Meghan are spot on. But regarding everything else, regarding the hacking, do you give him a pass? Do you think he didn't do it? What are your thoughts down below? It is hard to believe he wouldn't have like, if he didn't know, I could see him at least, I don't want to know type of behavior is what I think is potentially possible back then. And I'm not saying it's happening now. I have no proof it happened then, but that's what I could see. I'm curious what you guys think. Is that something that's possible? In the meanwhile, what do you think of this win from Harry? I want to hear your thoughts, and I hope you'll join us live over on Popcorn Palace when we're live. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for alerts. I guess we'll be live closer to 1 p.m. now, Eastern Standard. So leave a comment down below. Join us over there, and I'll put the Popcorn Palace logo up top. Join us over there, Popcorn Palace. Subscribe to both channels. We will start doing other news here, so make sure you're subscribed to Popcorn Palace for all your daily royalty.